Okay, I think Dr. Rusdi already here, right?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah. How are you, Dr. Rusdi? Everything fine?
Tired, but okay.
Okay, I think participant already more than 15. We can start. Yeah. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi ajmain, amma ba'du. So before we start our session today, please recite the Quran, Al-Fatihah. Thank you for to everyone, to participant who attend this KOP series sharing session. This is the KOP Tarik, yeah, KOP Tarik number 2. So actually, this is very good platform for us to share our research result. Yeah. So we have a very good speaker today, Dr. Rusmili and Dr. Syahrir. So they will share their experience on some of their topics, yeah, of their topics on. So I will read the title, yeah, for Dr. Rusmili. Okay. So today we will have two speakers. Yeah. So first is Dr. Rusmili, entitled Characterizing Silent Killers, the Venomic Study on Malaysian Kraits, Venom. Kraits, yeah, Venom. And then for the Dr. Syahrir, he will speak regarding the patient-centered care in mental health pharmacy service. So I would like to invite the first speaker, Dr. Rusmili, to present the research. Okay, Dr. Rusdi, you are welcome.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Alfi. Assalamualaikum and very good morning, everybody. To Prof Tahe, Associate Prof, Doctor, brother, sister. Thank you so much for listening to my talk today. Thank you for the research office to provide this opportunity for me to share my research. Although it's quite old, but I think still relevant. Okay, may I share the script?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You can present.
Okay, thank you so much. So, my it's on. Okay, thank. Okay. So, full screen. So today's talk will be on the Malaysian Kraits. So, why Kraits? Because is one of the important or medically important snakes in Southeast Asia. So even though it's Malaysian, but it's also found in other places in Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, and even Laos and Cambodia. Okay, let's go to the slide. So let's go to the basic first. In terms of Venomic, first need to know about the venom first. So when you talk about venom, it is a secretion of a specialized gland in a venomous animal. When you talk about venomous animal, it doesn't mean snakes. It can be fish. It can be mammals. We do have venomous mammal. If you notice, I don't know whether you know, there's a kongkang. In English, is slow loris. Slow loris is the only known venomous mammal. Okay. Then you have insects. You have reptiles. Of course, you have Komodo dragon, a lot of venomous animals. Okay, so how differentiate compared to poison is how the venom being delivered. So venom is delivered into a victim or prey using a very specialized venom apparatus. So it must be through a fang, like a snake, through fang, or maybe in bee through a stinger, or maybe like say in jellyfish through tentacles. So there must be some kind of apparatus of delivery. Okay. So in the venom, it contains a lot of molecules. Okay, mostly protein, peptides, small molecule, etc. Okay, some fats and carbohydrates sometimes. Okay, so in snake venom, because we are talking about kraits, kraits one of krait is basically one of snake species. So in krait, the main component will be protein. Okay, so in venom, since it has a very complex and diverse composition of protein and biomolecules, so it has a very complex effects. Again, because each component can target and cause different effects, so it makes things complicated. So in terms of the evolution, okay, so basically each snake species evolve its own venom, okay, because depending on the environment, prey, and the species survival, so it developed its own venom to be adapted to its own environment. For example, some species is known to have more lethal cardiotoxin compared to other venom due to its diet, for using diet of certain species. For example, there's a very venomous elipid, mamba, black mamba, if you remember or you know. So it's the venom is very specialized to kill birds, and the way it kills very fast, because you know birds can fly very fast. Very when you get bitten, you can fly very fast. So the snake has developed through evolution to have a very potent venom that act immediately, it causes very high lethality. Okay, then this is the basically the basic composition or the ubiquitous composition of snake venom. So in most of the snake venom, they are for liphase A2. They are 3-finger toxin, amino acids, hyaluronidase, metalloproteinase, protease inhibitor, serine protease, acetylcholinesterase. Acetylcholinesterase basically in lipids. So these are the main composition in most of the snakes. So if you notice, it's a lot. Okay, and even though you can see one interesting component like 3-finger toxin, it has neurotoxic effect, it has cardiotoxic effect, it has cytotoxic effect. Some have even has myotoxic effect. And also for lipase has neurotoxic, hypotensive, hyperplatelet, cytotoxic. So it's a multiple effect. Some toxin even have some toxin have multiple effect, and some toxin have dedicated effect. So it makes things very interesting. So when we talk about venom, it's also affected by various factors. Since remember, it's basically it's a product of evolution. So it can be affected by the species. Okay, so we have definitely interspecies variation. Like venom from cobra will be totally different than venom in viper. Okay, or maybe the one that we very most of the time physician and even any healthcare patient confused venom of king cobra and cobra, totally different. It's not the same. Okay, like then we have the geographic origin. So we do know now for some reason, okay, maybe because of diet or maybe other environmental factors, there will be some differences in the venom depending on the geographical origin. So venom in Thailand will be different in compared to venom in Indonesia. Even though in the same species, can we do have, let's say we have a Malayan pit viper in Thailand, and we have also Malayan pit viper in Indonesia. So in theory, the venom, although it look the same, but the composition will be and the abundancy will be different. Okay, and it will have some kind of effect in the management and also in the antibody in the antivenom production. And you have season, because remember season, when we're talking about season, the prey differences will have some kind of effect on the venom production. So the venomous animal have capability to sequester different type of chemical products from different animals. So in different season, there will be different animal, different prey. So they will secret, basically they produce different type of different composition of toxin in different season, season. Sorry. Then age, we do have now, we know that non-net snakes have different lethality compared to the adult snake. And again, with the there's also the theory. There's some researchers also claim that neonates also more deadly compared to the adult because the neonate snakes are not able to control the venom excretion during the bite. So, but at the moment we don't know for sure because there are very limited amount of work on the age-related, the ontogenic research on snake venom. Sex, of course, different snake have again is related to size and also the environment, and diet, of course, which are related to the season. So the differences, of course, it will affect the activity and the immunoreactivity in the antivenom. Okay, so it will affect the efficacy of antivenom. That's the most important thing that you need to remember. Then when it affect the antivenom production, it means that it will also affect the capability of the antivenom to reverse the toxicity when it's used during the treatment. Okay, so but the good thing about the variation is also an important or very good source of novel biomolecule. Okay, so for those who are interested in drug discovery or diagnostics, so the differences will be the interesting part of their research because they wanted to know the differences which can be modified or maybe utilized in terms of its usage for particular physiological factors. Okay, it's like blood coagulation, for example. So most of the vipers toxins are used towards blood coagulation. So there are a lot of work going on now to study the blood coagulation and in relation with the toxins from pit vipers. So when talk about Venomic is basically a proteomic profiling strategy to study the composition of venom proteins. So since remember the venom, insect venom particularly has a lot of proteins. So most of the profiling strategy are directed toward protein profiling. So with the development and development of better and cheaper mass spectrometry. Okay, so now the process is become cheaper and faster. Okay, before this, the process is quite long. Why? Because the protein need to be sequenced using n-terminal sequencing, which are quite slow compared to mass spectrometer. With mass spec, you can just load hundreds of samples in one time and just leave it for the whole week to run. With the n-terminal sequencing machine and manipulation, or it will take some time. Okay, and it also use a lot of reagent. Okay, a lot of process. This Venomic in terms of mass spec, not that much, except for the prep. Prep maybe take some time, especially when you involve multiple digestion. So Venomic can be conducted using non-decompensated and also decompensated venom sample. Okay, so usually when you do decompensated, it will give a lot of more information on the population of proteins in the sample, and most of the time, because venom is highly complex, so we do need most of the time we do need some kind of jet electrophoresis, liquid chromatography, or combination of both. So in the picture back there is my friend T. T used to work in Monash, and she's the one who handled the mass spec, the QTOF over there. So QTOF over there is combined with the nanoflow and also the chip cube column unit. So basically, we have decompensated using LC, then you go through the mass spectrometer. Okay, and now a lot of people are combining venom gland transcriptomic just to enhance the understanding of the composition of the venom, because with the protein, you may and may not able to get the low abundance protein, because some proteins are available in very, very, very low abundance, which can be just obliterate by mass spec. It cannot be detected. Okay, some peptide especially, so it cannot be detected. So some now people a lot of people now using venom transcriptomic to just to enhance the understanding of the venom. So it is very extensively used. When we talk about venomic, it is extensively used in combination of the pharmacological assay for the, of course, first for development and improvement of the venom and discovery. But today maybe I want to focus on the development and improvement of the venom, because we do have problem. Oh, sorry. Okay, now this is example of the result, or maybe the flow of the venomic and venomic and antivenomics. Okay, antivenomics is basically the reverse of venomic, basically a characterization of immunoreaction on towards population of toxin inside the venom. So we have the antivenomics. So usually what happen, we have the venom part, then later continue with antivenomic. First, of course, there will be separation. In, you can see in the A, there will be some kind of separation using slit chromatography. Then will be some profiling using page, some kind of gel electrophoresis. Then from the band, we can have especially the pure band, you can have it can be digested, then loaded into the mass spectrometer. Okay, then you have this kind of result where you can have different population of protein in samples. Okay, and it's usually combined with transcriptomic to confirm and also enhance the understanding. Okay, so the venomic is very much used in the snake envenoming research. Why? Because first, there's a need for studying the snake envenoming or snake venom for the production of the anti-venom, because WHO is it was redeclared. It was declared before, but it was removed, then redeclared back in 2014 as the snake envenoming was declared again as one of the world's neglected tropical disease. Okay, so the numbers is quite enormous. Okay, for the world, is estimated 5 million per year. Okay, and the number of deaths is around 130. Okay, so the number is quite substantial. Okay, especially when it's involving hotspot region in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, which most of the time, or you can see in the map, they are basically low middle income countries, which sometimes not able to produce their own antivenom. And it's also a poverty linked disease where a lot of people who are affected, basically agricultural workers, children. These are the most basically affected population. Okay, why is poverty linked? Because first, remember, when a person got bitten, it can be either death or have some kind of morbidity. Okay, during, let's say, death, of course, the person, families will need to cover the income expenses. So someone else in the family need to work. So let's say it's a child, you basically you remove the child from the privilege of having education. So it is definitely will affect the economic progress of the family and even the community. Okay. Okay, since as I mentioned before, Kraits or genus Bungarus is one of medically important venomous species in Asia. Okay, in South Asia we have several species. Okay, this is the WHO standby envenoming roadmap. So we are now in scale up stage basically. So we do have consortium. I was in the consortium before but I was removed because I was too busy. Okay, but there was when I was still in the consortium, there was some meetings on the how to improve the antivenom availability and also the characterization of toxin for creating chimeric toxin for antivenom production. Hopefully in the 2030 we have full coordination in the roadmap. This will be some of my work. Basically, I did this for my PhD study. Okay, so at that time I don't really know the importance. Only after my PhD, then I realized the importance. Okay, so when I did this, there are a lot of lag. There's a lot of gap basically in terms of venom research in Malaysia at that time. So first, we don't have a profile for Malaysian crate. So I think there's a need for the profiling. So it's not used for only for drug discovery and also for anti-venom research. It can also be applied for the forensic, especially let's say someone get bitten criminally, of course, or maybe someone may want to smuggle something as venom, because the venom now is a commodity. Okay, especially when we talk about crates. Venoms are used for profiling or for characterizing nicotinic receptor. So there is a price for Bungarus venom. So it's a highly sought after venom basically. Then we do have now, because the problem in Malaysia, we don't produce our own anti-venom. So we rely our anti-venom supplies from Thailand. So we are not sure how efficient the Thailand monovalent antivenom against Malaysian crates. Okay, we do know now, because from the studies conducted in Thailand, for crate it required enormous amount of venom. So instead of, let's say, for cobra, maybe king cobra around 5 vials, crate maybe 10 vials. This is how much the proportion difference in terms of venom that anti-venom they are required for the treatment. So this can be a substantial problem, because first, the anti-venom is basically a highly inflated commodity. So what it means basically, when you have anti-venom, it can be produced as cheap as $20-30. Okay, but once it's in the market, the price can fetch up to $200 to $300. So the markup is more than 100%. Okay, so that's why there's a need to have this kind of work to study the anti-venom use. At least when you have anti-venom, you can use the anti-venom correctly and also efficiently. But then remember, because we are talking about a biological product which is derived from animals, so there is some kind of demand, and maybe lag period, maybe a period where there is no basically insufficient amount of anti-venom in the market. So when that happened, there's a serious problem, because last time, I think 2 or 3 years back, there's a shortage of anti-venom throughout the world because of production problem. So everybody were using expired anti-venom as the as a replacement for the anti-venom, because at the moment there's no supply of new anti-venom. Okay, that's how serious it is. Okay, in Malaysia there are 3 species of crates. We have the Malayan crates, banded crates, and also the red-headed crates. I'm not able to secure sufficient amount of number of individual for red-headed crate, so I'm not able to do work on the red-headed crate. So I do a lot of work on the Malayan crate and also the banded crate, which are relatively more easy to get, even though it's not that easy. It's hard. How hard? I took 5 years to collect around 1 gram. So because in comparison, I only need 1 milking for king cobra to get 1 gram. That is how hard to get the venom. Okay. So at the moment I don't have venom anymore and I don't have permit. So the work on crate need to be was stopped for a while until I got some sufficient amount of sample and also I got new permit. Okay, so when we talk about Bungarus fasciatus, it's more widely distributed. So it can be found in India, in China, in Southeast Asia. Okay, but due to its nature, which compared to another species, the Bungarus fasciatus is considered and also quite docile. Okay, it's not that aggressive compared to, and also not really commonly encountered in the population. Okay, but for candidates, for some reason, okay, it has more lethality, and also it is sometimes found in enroaching human habitation, human houses, especially in area near to the paddy fields. Okay, I think there are few numbers of crates bite in Indonesia. So the problem with Indonesia, they don't have anti-venom for crate. Okay, they have anti-venom for banded crate, but not Malayan crate. So a lot of I think few children got bitten and develop unfortunately develop brain damage lah, basically. Okay, it's quite sad to see. Okay, so why little? Of course, my title is Little Killers. So I don't know whether you know, but crates are used in some of the military logos and also ships. Okay, in this if those who been to Sydney before, there's a small ship in the war museum, I think. So the ship is on your right there. So a small ship basically is used to conduct infiltration mission in the Pacific, and it's named Crate. The name is Crate. Okay, and you can see the logo there. This logo from the United Kingdom Air Force unit. So you can see the crate, the distinctive white and black pattern there. So definitely a crate. Okay, so they notice the dangerous the lethality of the crate. Okay, okay, in crate bite basically it's very well known that when in the classical crate bite there will be neurological with neurological symptom with very little or no localization. Okay, usually it leads to paralysis, and most common cause of death will be the suffocation due to respiratory paralysis. Okay, but in recent years there are new symptoms that being discovered. Okay, because they notice now after bitten by crates, some of the crates cause hyponatremia. Some of the crates can cause rhabdomyolysis, and some of it also can cause alteration in blood pressure. So these were not detected before. So for some reason now the crates has evolved. Okay, the crate venom has evolved, and somehow these newer crates able to produce this kind of effect. Okay, then when you talk about crate bite treatment, as I mentioned before, a lot of antivenom required. Okay, 10, 20, or 30 sometimes. So the minimum, the starting dose is 10 vials. Okay, but now they found out that there will be no benefit of using high dose venom. In my friend's place in Sri Lanka, what happened? They do have shortage of the venom. So what they do is basically they just provide intubation and ventilation throughout the period until 13 to 14 days until the patient shows sign of recovery from the respiratory paralysis. They do have, as I was told before, they do in Sri Lanka. They do have a dedicated ward just for crate, but they do have a dedicated ward just for snake bite in particular season. So usually in monsoon, during the monsoon season, they have one whole ward just for snake bite. Okay, these are the antivenoms for terrestrial snake that are available in Malaysian hospital. So for crate, we do use banded crate antivenom, Malayan crate antivenom, and also neuropolyvalent snake antivenom. So these three are the one that we are using for the crate treatment. Okay, crate bite treatment. So we are lucky to have this. In other places, they do not have this luxury. Okay, most of the time they only have one or two. What we do in our place, in our hospital, at least in the state, usually they have a lot. They have this set. Okay, so in crate venom, they are basically the concern will be on the neurotoxin. So when talk about crate venom, the first thing that people will remember is the neurotoxin inside. So the neurotoxin inside the crate can be divided into two: the presynaptic and the postsynaptic. Then presynaptic can be is basically a neurotoxic phospholipase A2. It can be further divided into the monomer, homodimer, and the heterodimer. The most common or more famous heterodimer will be the beta bugarotoxin. Okay, and then in the postsynaptic there is a three-finger toxin, which can be further divided into the type 1, type 2, the orphan group, and the kappa. And there is quite a number of kinase type protease inhibitor, which now until now we don't know for sure what is the function, but it's postulated, it's hypothesized that it it become a guidance or beacon for the binding towards the receptor. So we do know now, in terms of variation, there are variations. Okay, so previous study on Bungarus fasciatus, Bungarus candidus, it indicates that there are differences in the venom. Okay, some population do not have these venoms, toxin. Some population have high amount of toxin. So the difference is quite significant. Okay, so we do now in Kraits there are significant differences. Okay, and the problem is we don't know how the activity of this venom and toxin can affect on the anti-venom neutralization and efficacy in the management. So that's why I decided last time to do the characterization of the venom first, because just to know the composition first in terms of differences in the snake Krait species that can we find sorry, that we can find in Malaysia. So it started out with collection, of course, because unfortunately I'm not able to secure a Malaysian Krait venom at that time. So we had to get someone from our place who live near to paddy field, because Kraits are known to be found in paddy fields, especially during the time where they start to seed the paddy fields. They put the paddy the seeds. Then there's the time where the Krait will come out and eat all the mice. Then from the collected venom, I decompensated the venom using reverse phase, then SS phase, then I ionized before I load the venom into the venom into the mass spec. Then we have the result in term of spectrum from the software. So this is the sample. So I did some protein analysis, okay, then also the protein identification. So it looks complex. It does. It takes quite a number of time, basically, compared to the pharmacological work. This work took me longer period of time. So it took me 1 year to master this. Okay. These are the profile. You can see in the reverse phase profile and between the candidates and fasciatus, it is totally different. Okay, it's totally different. Even though from the SDS page, it looks nearly similar. Okay, nearly similar means in terms of bandwidth, a lot of molecules of proteins are located within region 20 to 6 kilodaltons. Okay, but you can notice there are differences in terms of hydrophobicity, because I'm using the reverse phase to separate, to decompensated the venom. So when I load into the mass spec, this totally obvious. I saw the obvious differences between candidates and fasciatus. So in terms of number of protein, the number of family of protein inside candidates, they are 14, and in fasciatus only 12. Okay, so for some reason, Bungarus candidus has a high number of protein families. So it means these candidates are a lot more complex compared to fasciatus. Okay, and when I run the sample, basically we found that the proteins, the toxin that were hit with the candidus and fasciatus, they are all hit with the Asian and Elliptic species. Okay, Asian Elliptic species. Sorry, Asian and even sometimes Australian Elliptic species. I didn't put it there. Sorry. So in terms of composition of trifigatoxin, because trifigatoxin has a lot of variation compared to phospholiphase, because the concern now is on the neurotoxicity. So that's why a lot of work now that I did was concentrated on the phospholiphase and trifigatoxin. So from the composition, it's obvious that you can see in fasciatus there are more number of family in terms of trifigatoxin compared to candidus. Candidus for some reasons a lot more simple, and if you notice, there's no type 1 trifigatoxin. Type 1 trifigatoxin is a short trifigatoxin associated with the high reversibility. So you can notice that there's no short neurotoxin in Bungarus candidus. So this is the profile. You can notice, so there's a different. Okay, there are numbers of protein inside Bungarus candidus is not found in Bungarus fasciatus, and etc. Okay, then from the study itself, and then I found some of the unique properties inside the venom from Malaysia. So for some reason, I found the alpha butyrotoxin in the Bungarus fasciatus, which never reported before. And also found new neurotoxin, the one that I isolated and characterized, but I did not include it in this presentation. I do found some thrombin-like enzyme, which, because the thing is, thrombin-like enzyme is associated with the coagulation. Okay, but in the venom, the clinical effect of the venom does not have significant alteration in the blood coagulation. But from proteomic study, we do find thrombin-like enzyme in the venom. Then we have multiple subunits of beta-butyrotoxin, and I found natriuretic peptide in the venom of Bungarus candidus, which was significant at the time because no one has found or detected natriuretic peptide in the Bungarus candidus. It was hypothesized that Bungarus candidus has natriuretic peptide, but it was not confirmed. So I confirmed that there is natriuretic peptide inside Bungarus candidus venom. So this is the result lah. So you can see the result. This is how it reads in the software. Basically, I need to read between the lines and also the letters. Okay. So this is summary. So basically, very complex the venom. So then I decided to study, because we know now there are differences in composition in the venom of Bungarus candidus and fasciatus. So I decided to do the in vitro neurotoxicity studies using and also using antivenom from Thailand to study the neutralization. So I use this. So most of the in this study I use tip preventer, a very old school technique, but very cheap and also reliable to study antivenom reversal. So this is the setup that I used to have. So I just take the preventer muscle, the small muscle in the cheek, then mounted in the organ bar. Then I run it, put electric current, and also test with acetylcholine, carbachol, and also KCl. Then I may want, let's say I wanted to do pre-incubation study, then I add antivenom before I add sample, or maybe if let's say I want to do a reversal study, I put antivenom after I put the sample. Then we have the profile readout after a few hours. Okay, this example can see that there are differences. There are dose-dependent differences between venom. So you can notice there in terms of T90 for Bungarus. Bungarus candidus, the number is lesser. So T90 for Bungarus candidus is lesser than Bungarus fasciatus. So indeed there is a dose-dependent effect, and the Bungarus fasciatus somehow more potent in vitro compared to Bungarus fasciatus. So when we tested using antivenom during pre-incubation, apparently somehow the antivenom only works at high concentration. So only at the 3 times of the recommended concentration of Bungarus fasciatus, it showed reversibility. Okay, so it means that for some reason our snake venom basically has lower immunogenicity compared to the one that being used for production in Thailand. Okay, same goes with the polyvalent. Okay, so with using the higher concentration, then it shows a protection against neurotoxicity, but not at the recommended concentration. So it indicates that there are lower abundance of antibody inside the neuropolyvalent in comparison with the one that was used for production in Thailand. And that could be the reason why the people in Thailand suggested very high amount of antivenom to be given in event of systemic envenoming by Kraits. And in terms of cross neutralization, there is no cross neutralization before, because before this, what happened is Bulgarus fasciitis antivenom was used to treat envenoming by Malayan krait, and some people do say there is some kind of reversibility, but from this study, what I did, the one that I did, I found that there's no significant reversibility, so there's no cross neutralization. So the Malayan krait antivenom cannot be used to treat banded krait, systemic envenoming, and vice versa. Okay, there's no cross neutralization. Okay, when you have cross neutralization, one antivenom can basically neutralize toxic effect from other species, but we don't see it here. So at the space, so you can notice that there are several spots which are missing from the SDS page and also Western blot. It means that some of the antivenom does not really bind to the bands. It means that the antibody is not that reactive towards certain part, certain toxin in the venom. Okay, when I put it at near to the time of emission, near when to the time where it's almost basically T90 is a time where there's a 90% inhibition of twitch in the preparation. So when I put at the T90, so in theory, when I put T90 and put a very efficient antivenom, I can see some kind of reversal. So if you notice there, I only see it when I put the Bulgarus, the polyneuro, not the monovalent. So in Bulgarus fasciitis, the reversal is not that efficient. Okay, you can see with 3 times polyvalent and monovalent after Bulgarus candidus venom. Sorry, there's no reversal at all. But for Bulgarus fasciitis, at T90, there is partial reversal when I put neuropolyvalent antivenom. So the summary, basically, we know now for sure. Okay, Bulgarus candidus fasciitis are neurotoxic in vitro. Okay, the Bulgarus candidus is more potent. Okay, so it can be the neurotoxic can be attenuated at the higher dose when given early. Okay, there's no cross neutralization. Sorry, then you have the polyneuro when the neuropolyvalent antivenom may be useful when it's given early. Then definitely there's a need to have a clinical trial to assess the appropriate dose for antivenom. Then there's a need also to have further work to explore the geographical variation, because we know now there could be a need to combine venom from various regions for antibody production, to cover all krait bite in the region. Okay, so this is the conclusion. So basically, from the proteome, we know it's complex, very complex. So the venom has, remember, it has neurotoxic and has presynaptic and postsynaptic. The composition in Malaysian candidus and fasciitis may be different than venom that were used for antibody production, and the higher dose may be beneficial for krait bites. Okay, for my study, but again, there's a need for clinical study to confirm this. Then there is a need to study more venom variation studies. So by right, I should get more venom from other places, which unfortunately not easy to get. Okay. Then there's a need to do a lot of study on the molecular regulation bindings of toxin and antivenoms. These are my acknowledgement. These are my collaborators throughout the world. I have Wayne, my ex-supervisor, and Professor Ihsan from Monash. I have Prof Rais, who helped me in the beginning until the end. He's the one who taught me the basic pharmacology of using the in vitro isolated tissue preparation. My friend and close friend, basically, we still work together. my friend Dr. Chaisakul. Then my junior Prof. Anjana Silva. Now I got junior who becoming a Prof now. Then a friend of mine. So a lot of material that I got pictures I got from Anjana and also Dr. Tri from Indonesia. Dr. Tri also the president of the Indonesian Toxinology Society. So I used to work with her quite a lot before I was HOD before. So before I was HOD, I do travel in Indonesia, especially in Java, to do a lot of PR work over there. Then Dr. Kardon, that's a very close associate of mine. Then my friend in Pasteur Institute, Morocco. Now Deputy Director Nawal Akoche. Now she works on spiders and also vipers of the African desert in Sahara. So I did have an opportunity to go to Morocco to study with Nawal and do some work with Nawal on scorpion and also and vipers. And of course, my supplier Pachidin, who helped me with the snake venom. I think that's all. Thank you for listening. This is an example of poster that we did basically the Malaysian Society on Toxinology and also Indonesian Toxinologists did for Indonesian hospital and also public. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you so much. Back to Dr. Alfi.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rusdi. Very interesting presentations. I saw that your snake looks very beautiful in your slide. Very nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, any questions? Maybe from the Prof or associate Prof here. And any questions?
Assalamualaikum. I'm Dr. Awis. I have one question for Dr. Rusdi. So,
Dr. Awis?
Yeah, I think because in Malaysia, for example, we are not only have the snake in the land, we have a snake in the sea as well. And then I think there is a big difference between these two snakes. So, have you ever had any research done on the sea snake?
Thank you, Dr. Awis. Wow, okay. I think you already know, but never mind. Maybe I just mentioned this to the others. So we do have plan to work on Malaysian sea snake, okay, especially sea snake that are found in Kuantan or East Coast. So and we did some venom collection. Of course, very minimum because we had to rely from bycatch from the fishermen, so we don't have a lot in comparison with the industrial stage or industrial grade work that been conducted by the anti-venom products producer. They need to catch thousands of snakes, so we only have 10 or 20 snakes, and then we release back. So it will take some time. Definitely, there is a need. There's an interest from my counterpart in Thailand to develop a regional sea snake anti-venom. Why? Because first, now the whole world relies on supplies from Australia for the sea snake anti-venom, the polyvalent sea snake anti-venom, and the price, if not mistaken, is increasing year by year. If not mistaken, at the moment the price per vial is 20 to 30,000 ringgit. Okay, and usually for sea snake envenoming, there's the minimum I think is 1 or 2 vials. So one patient at least 30, maybe 60,000 ringgit need to be reserved for one patient. And since we are living in the coastal area, and so there could be a need to study the anti-venoms, because to study the anti-venom and also the venom, because we don't know for sure how effective the venom, and we also need to know whether there's a possibility to minimize or replace the use of the Australian statistic antivenom. Okay, so definitely there is a need. Then there is a plan. I don't have the equipment and the student and the fund to do it now for the time being. Thank you, Dr. Awiz. Back to Dr. Awiz.
Okay. So any more questions? So we still have 5 minutes. Okay. Then I have a questions, Dr. Rusdi. Because you are doing the Venomics, right? So how you correlate the protein profile to the what we call venom activity, toxicity of the protein itself. So maybe if you do the Venomics, meaning that you already find or analyze all possible protein in the sample, and then how you know that that protein, a certain protein possessing the toxicity.
Okay, very interesting question, Dr. Alvi. So definitely first when we talk about Venomic of Venom, usually we are talking about a crude sample. So we are talking about the total abundance of the protein toxin content inside the venom. So first we need to go back on the reported cases on the epidemiological studies that we conducted on the snake. Okay, so for snake venom, unfortunately in our region is not well reported, and there are very limited number of literature on this. So when we talk about the correlation, so we need to know what are the physicians see in the clinic when they're trying to treat the patient. So that's why in some cases of envenoming, they see very weird condition or symptom that was not documented before. So from that, that will be the basis of our venomic study. So from that we can basically target the venom for certain population of proteins. Okay, so when we do the venomic study using all this mass spectrometer or decompensation or digestion and stuff, so we do know the population of the proteins inside the venom. So once we know the population of the proteins, because we do know now, because once it's hit with the protein inside the database, usually the hit protein are characterized before. They are well known. They are already known in terms of the structure and also the activities. So when you have activities that the sequence of the protein is basically more than 40%, it can be considered as having a nearly similar functional properties in comparison with the hit protein. So let's say I found a protein that has nearly maybe 70% similar hits with the protein inside the database. So definitely I can safely say that the protein has the characteristic of the maybe activity of the protein that being hit in the database, which are being documented before. So that will be the basis. So to confirm this, definitely then I need to do the pharmacological characterization using all sort of pharmacological assay. That's how we basically relate the venomic study findings with the clinical or maybe activities that seen in patient and also in the in vitro or in vivo studies.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rusdi.
No worries at the.
Okay, if no more questions, any questions? If not, then we will end the presentation from Dr. Rusdi. Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Rusdi.
Yeah, I have one question.
Okay, Dr. Prof. Kamal.
Dr. Kamal, yes, Dr. Kamal. Prof. Kamal, sorry, Prof. Kamal.
You have to work very hard as well to become prof. And you are on the right track.
I don't need to be prof. I just happy, content with what I have now.
No, you are on the right track. You are on the right track to lead all of us. Alhamdulillah, I am very happy to listen to your presentation, and you are doing a very good job. And
okay, thank you,
I have really enjoyed your presentation indeed. Keep it up.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kamal.
I have no question. I have no
Oh.
question, but I just want to say that I have really enjoyed your presentation and you have presented your findings very beautifully. And I am also able to understand all these facts which you have done. Alhamdulillah. So keep it up. Keep it up.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Kamar.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay,
May
thank
Allah
you,
bless
Prof.
you always, inshallah.
Thank you,
Assalamu
Prof. Kamar. Yeah. Hopefully, Dr. Rusdi will be able to bring us the LSMS kickoff to our kuliah.
Inshallah, inshallah. He has to work very hard.
Okay.
He has the reasons. He has the reasons to
Yes,
convince
yes.
higher authorities to get LCMS for our Kulliyyah. Otherwise, how we will survive? In the current scenario, we don't have any instrument to run our research effectively, and all the time we are running here and there, and even his student also complaining.
Okay, inshallah we will collaborate to get this machine in our kuliah. Okay, thank you, Dr. Rusdi.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then we will move to second speaker for today, Dr. Syahrir bin Zaini, entitled of the research is the patient-centered care in mental health pharmacy service. So for Dr. Syahrir, you are welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Alfi. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good day to all. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil alamin, assalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Alhamdulillah. Praise be to Allah, because of him we can gather here to hear something, some experience from me, from my research previously. So I will share screen right now. Share. So can you all see my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. So my title for today is Patient-Centered Care in Mental Health Pharmacy Services. So I am Dr. Syahrir bin Zaini. Maybe almost all of you have known me, but some of you may not know me yet. So like Malay proverb say, tak kenal maka tak cinta. But I combine with the Arabic proverb, tak kenal maka ta'aruf. So if not know, let us ta'aruf, introduce. So I will introduce myself first. Firstly, I also graduated from this university on 2010, BPharm, and then I continue my master in pharmacy practice in UiTM Puncak Alam, graduated on 2013, and then just graduated from Universiti Malaya to get my PhD in psychological medicine on 2022. So the topic is regarding patient-centered care. So this is the screenshot of one of the latest journal article, but not from my own, it's other author. Patient-centered care is a way of doing things. So from this article, I extracted, and this is the summary of the article. I would like to share with you what is the term of patient-centered care means. So the short form is PCC. PCC is a dynamic and individualized approach to healthcare. So patient is the center of the focus. So it's individualized by patients, and PCC represent a shift from traditional biomedical and disease-focused practice. So before this, conventionally, when we go to the clinic and then the doctor will see and focus on the disease itself. But by using PCC, it will more towards the holistic approach whereby patients are at the center of care. Meaning to say, it's not only focusing on the disease, but also the other aspect of the patient, such as the family history, the occupation. So we can target to get the patient adhere or comply to the medication because we consider all of these aspects. And then this PCC approach focuses on individualized and goal-oriented healthcare planning that considers the patient views and preferences. So by using patient-centered care, patient's view will be considered, and it will lead to another term, which is shared decision-making, SDM. Shared decision-making is like when the doctor want to prescribe the medication, the doctor will discuss all the medication available and the side effect and other things with the patient first, and then get the preferences by the patient. And then using PCC, it is important to ensure active engagement of the patients, because we want to make a medical decision making. We want to consider the patient opinion, so we have to trigger the engagement by using probing question. The doctor have to ask question to know the opinion by the patients, and the pharmacist as well as the healthcare provider should contribute to the active engagement of patients in the PCC. So next, I would like to define regarding the pharmacy services. So from the title, I have included the term pharmacy services. So some of you may familiarize with the term, and some of you may not know yet what is the pharmacy services. So it's simply to say it is the pharmacy practice in Malaysia. In Malaysia, pharmacists will practice in government or private. If in government, there are many departments such as inpatient, outpatient, and then store pharmacies, and then if private, community pharmacies. So for this topic, I would like to focus on the pharmacy services that is related to the mental health aspects. What is the mental health? So according to the journal article that I screenshot here, the journal article make a survey among the expertise in the field of mental health from 8 countries to ask their opinion regarding what is the definition of mental health. So the findings we can see from the table. Most preferred definition is from the source of Public Health Agency of Canada. But under that, we also have the definition from WHO, World Health Organization, and also other sources. So from the definition, some of the definition, WHO and other sources, Huber et al., the researcher contribute to create a model. This is the model name, Transdomain Model of Health. So we can see here the 3 major aspects of health, which is mental health, physical health, and social health. When they overlap each other, so they will contribute to several more aspects, which is autonomy and also others. So when we say about mental health, when the patient ill, the illness we say is as the mental disorders. So when we say about mental disorder, the most common reference used by medical doctor psychiatrists is the DSM. DSM stands for Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, and the latest version is DSM-5. So this is the book. So when we want to see the correct definition of several psychiatric diseases, we can refer to this reference. So we see more regarding the pharmacy services in Malaysia. So it is governed by the Bahagian Perkhidmatan Farmasi Pharmaceutical Services Division. So under that, they have also the adherence clinics, medication therapy adherence clinics. So when we say about MTech, it indicates that this clinic use PCC, patient-centered care, because in this MTech clinic, medication therapy adherence clinics, one patient will be counseled more longer periods rather than the patient that get the regular medication in outpatient or in the community pharmacy. So MTech is representing the PCC. So when we see the website of the PSD, Political Service Division of Malaysia government, the list of MTech is like this. So when we see the list, we cannot see the psychiatric or mental health pharmacy service. So meaning to say the mental health pharmacy service in Malaysia is not established yet. Even though some hospitals also have conducted the mental health pharmacy services, which is the MTech psychiatric, but it's not very widely utilized. So when we search in the internet more, we can get the MTech protocol. MTech protocol is like the guideline, like the clinical practice guideline. for the MTech, focusing on the psychiatry, but the date of publication is July 2012. So it is not updated. But if we see the CPG, critical practice guidelines, for the specific psychiatric disorder such as MDD, major depressive disorder, we can see the updated one. Because clinical practice guideline is covering the whole of the disease and is intended to be read by medical doctors, nurse, healthcare professionals, including pharmacists. And to publish this CPG, I was also one of the external reviewer for the CPG. So when we search more the literature from the overseas, we can find the article like this: pharmacist roles in mental health care, past, present, and future. The publication date is very latest, 2021, and it mentioned that pharmacist is trusted and accessible healthcare professional who have an important role in supporting people living with mental illness. Need to say, in the overseas, the role of mental health pharmacy is established, but in Malaysia, not yet. So the only general article that is related to the topic that I can find is regarding the perspective of pharmacists regarding the PCC in general, not focusing on the psychiatric or mental health disease. So this is the qualitative article to explore the Malaysian hospital pharmacists and patients regarding the barriers and facilitators to PCC in pharmacy consultation. So the findings, they got the diagram like this. So among the barriers and facilitators, they can group into 3 major domains, which are healthcare institution and health-related factors, patient-related factors, and pharmacist-related factors. And among the recommendation for pharmacists to support the PCC is by using support materials such as educational aids. So when the pharmacist want to counsel the patient, maybe not just oral explanation, but also using the diagram or flip chart or any other educational aids to get the patient to engage more during the communication. And then communication skill training also needed by the pharmacist so that the PCC can be implemented effectively. Finally, the system of healthcare institution itself should be more towards the interprofessional collaboration, IPC. IPC means that the pharmacists and other healthcare professionals such as doctors, nurses should collaborate in doing the works to get the pharmaceutical care achieved. So I think we need to test our understanding first, because maybe you have seen the lecture too dry. So I would like to make an engagement with the audience. So to participate in this multiple choice question, you can use your handphone to scan the QR code, or maybe you can also put in the browser the URL classpoint.app, and then insert the class code, and then you can join the MCQ, the interactive section. Is it okay, Dr. Afi, if I make the session like this?
Yes, you can. No problem.
Maybe I can put in the chat box so that you can just click the chat box. Tak jumpa lah chat box mana. Oh, sini chat box. Okay, I think I don't know why the link is not working in the chat box. Never mind. Just 3 of you have joined, so I will start the MCQ activity. So I just want to test the. So I think it's very obvious question. Close submission. The following statement is true regarding patient-centered care. It is a static approach to healthcare. It focuses on the patient-specific disease. It assists current medical decision-making. It is limited by the widely implementation of interprofessional collaboration. So, through the answer is C, because patient-centered care, the A is wrong because it's not a static, it is a dynamic approach to healthcare. And B, it focuses on the patient-specific disease. It's not true because even though it focuses on a patient, but the statement said patient-specific disease. And then the D is not true because it's not limited, but it's contributed, is improved by implementation of interprofessional collaboration. So I will proceed with the slide. So next, I would like to focus on the common mental disorders. So from overseas, we can see the journal article like this, prevalence of common mental disorder in South Asia. So I would like to highlight that the most common mental disorder include the depression, anxiety, and others. Even though there are many more mental disorder, it's not only depression, it's not only schizophrenia, but the others also will include the mental disorder. So regarding the topic in this the sharing moment, I will just focus on the depression because my research previously also focused on the depression, major depressive disorder. So when we say about MDD, doctor will diagnose a patient when the patient have the symptom like this. There are a total of 9 symptoms. 9 symptoms, and then the symptom should be persistently until more than 2 weeks. And out of 9, the symptoms should be appear in the patient at least 4 out of 9. So that the patient will be diagnosed as MDD. If less than that, maybe not diagnosed as MDD, but only mild depression and no need antidepressants. But my research is related to the patient who needs the prescribed antidepressant. So the common questionnaire or the rating scales used to measure the symptom of depression by the patient is like this. One of the questionnaire is used by me from my previous research, which is patient health questionnaire, PHQ-9. So PHQ-9 contain the 9 items that is included in the previous slide. And the 9 items also from the DSM-5, the reference used for the psychiatric disease. So this is the DSM, the criteria for major depressive disorder. There are total 9 of the symptoms. So treatment goals and outcomes. When the patients are given the treatment, especially antidepressants, there are 3 phases, which are acute phases, continuation, and also maintenance phase. From the diagram, you can see the vertical axis is means to the severity of the symptom. When the line reducing in trend, it means that the symptoms is increased. So the patient will be diagnosed as MDD, and then the treatment will be given. And we will see the effectiveness after 2 to 4 weeks. And then if response, so the patient will be like this position. But when the patient responds to the medication, the patient will have the probability of relapse. So the medication compliance is very important. Sometimes the patients say they take the medication, and then the symptoms is not appearing. So they don't want to take the medication more. It's not true. The medication should be continued. So in the acute phase, until 12 weeks. If not, relapsing can be occur. So if relapsing, the symptom will be appear again. So if no relapse, the patient adheres, comply to the medication, and then they will achieve the main target of the acute phase, which is the remission like this. And then the graph will be flat, but sometimes there are many factors. Even though the patient has adhered to the medication, but other factors will lead to the relapse of the symptoms. So the phase of medication therapy should be continued until 9 months during the second phase, continuation phase. And then the patient will achieve response. After that, maintenance therapy, maintenance phase should be continued for more than 1 year. If not comply to the medication, patient will experience recurrence. So meaning to say the therapy for the depression is long term. So this is the definition of all those terms that I have said before this. I think not very important to focus on. And then this is bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder, the difference between bipolar and depression is that bipolar have two extreme opposite moods. Sometimes the patient will have depression, but sometimes the patient will have mania. Mania is the excessively elevated or irritable mood. So it is opposite from the depression. Anxiety disorder, also one of the common mental disorders, but will not be focused more in this topic. But just to mention a bit, because this is one of the medication used for anxiety disorder, also antidepressants. So prevalence of depression specific in Malaysia is like this. This is from the National Health and Mobility Survey 2019. And then the prevalence also categorized according to the states and other social demographic factors. So the pathophysiology is like this. I want to highlight just the important points. Is related to the neurotransmitter. So the neurotransmitter is the chemical compound in the brain. So that in the mental disorder patient, the level of neurotransmitter is less than usual, or maybe more than usual, according to the diagnosis. So the medication therapy is focusing on to balance again. So this is the summary of the neurotransmitter in mental disorder. Serotonin, if too low of serotonin will lead to depression. If too high level of serotonin will lead to mania, which is the opposite of depression. Some of the patients also will develop mania after getting the antidepressant therapy. So it's very complex. That's why the patient should comply to the follow-up by the psychiatrist. Psychiatrist will see the condition of the patient and evaluate is it okay or not. And then the another neurotransmitter is dopamine. If too high level of dopamine will lead to schizophrenia, one of the mental disorder as well. And then anxiety will be related to norepinephrine. So this one, test your understanding. I think I just read it. I think no need to make the interactive session because of the technical error. The following statement is true regarding depression treatment phases. Relapse is the goal of treatment. Recovery is easy to be achieved. Response should be followed by remission in the first phase. Patients who have high level of antidepressant adherence are more likely to experience recurrence. So the answer is C. Response should be followed by remission in the first phase. So this is the focus of the presentation today. I would like to share to you all the slides that used for my Viva session on 2020. So the topic is enabling patient-centered care (PCC) and engagement through SDM, shared decision making in antidepressant use among patients with MDD. So the presentation is divided into introduction and the phases of the study. There are 4 phases of this PhD study. So research background, I introduce some information regarding PCC and then SDM, just about what I have mentioned before this. And then the conceptual framework. PCC in anti-depressant use of major disorder will be contributed by the patient-centered communication, patient engagement, and patient participation. Information regarding antidepressant to be included into the process include the availability of the medication, mode of administration, timing of administration, efficacy, side effects, and then it will lead to the shared decision making. So general objective of the study is to develop SDM tool into a relevant, systematic, and easy to administer by psychiatrists during their consultations on the antidepressant use among patients with major depressive disorder. So this study is a collaboration study with several psychiatrists throughout the Malaysia, because my supervisor is one of the consultant psychiatrists in UMMC, in Malaya Medical Center. So he contacted his friend and other his previous students who have become the psychiatrists and contribute to the findings of this study. So the specific objectives based on the 4 study phases. First study objective is to review the patient-centered communication approaches in the antidepressant use among MDD patients. So from this first phase, I have published 1 scoping review under the ISI journal. And then the second phase to explore perspectives of patient and psychiatrists. So to implement the SDM in the antidepressant use among MDD, so we gather the perspective of patient and psychiatrists using qualitative study. And then third phase to describe the level of SDM measured by patients and psychiatrists using a validated questionnaire. This is the quantitative study. So this is a mixed method study. And then fourth phase to explore psychiatrist feedback suggestion to for the improvement of SDM process. So at the end, we also revise back the opinion by using exploration of psychiatry by using the qualitative study also. Research framework. So from the study, I have published scoping review, narrative review, and also focus group discussion. So it will lead to the information regarding the antidepressant to be included into the SDM process, all the items, and then continue with the multi-center cross-section study, clinical expert panel meeting, and SDM booklet of scripts for doctors produced. For the detail of the first phase, so the title of manuscript published in the SI journal is the patient-centered communication in the use of antidepressants among people with depression, a scoping review. So the scoping review is more or less like the systematic review, but have several aspects did not cover in the scoping review, such as the qualitative measurement or risk of bias assessment is not measured in the scoping review. But this is just like disagreement between researchers. Some of the researchers said scoping review also have to include this item, but some of the researchers said can if we want to not to include the risk of bias assessment. So I have the citation from other literature that said that no need to do risk of bias assessment. So for the scoping review, started with the online databases searching using the PubMed, Sina, and Cochrane by using specific keywords. And then after getting the compilation of articles, the title and abstract screened manually and also using software. And then full text access, where the full text can be downloaded. If not, we will exclude. And then synthesis, or discuss the findings. So important points regarding patient-centered communication from the scoping review. First, doctors get benefits from the application of patient knowledge and experience. So if the doctor implement the PCC, SDM, and then patient increase the engagement with the doctors will also get benefits from that. And then patients need additional support when they make decision about starting antidepressants. So when the doctor want to ask the patient preferences of using the antidepressant, the patient need the support, including the educational support. So the doctor should inform in detail first to the patients. And factors involvement in decision making was not influenced by the visit length. Some of the doctors also complain that visit length, meaning to say, if they implement the SDM or PCC, the longer period they will have to meet the patients. But some of the researchers said not influenced, but it's not if at all to the visit length. And then antidepressant, medication adherence is associated with patients' perception of SDM and trust. So medication adherence the patient can adhere to the medication if the patient trusts to the doctor and also trust to the information shared during the SDM process. And then next article that have been published in another journal is the narrative review entitled "The Use of Antidepressants for Physical and Psychological Symptoms in Cancer." So the review is only narrative, so no systematic method of gathering the literature. Among the findings include regarding the specific characteristic of the medication of the antidepressant, such as fluoxetine, was found to be associated with the reduction of anti-emetic property in ondansetron. Mirtazapine, one of the famous antidepressants of choice by the psychiatrists in the UMMC, is mirtazapine. It's identified to be a good alternative in treating nausea and cachexia among cancer patients. And factors, more research study with adequate power are required. And then second phase of my study, I have published the article in another different ISI journal entitled "Development of Strategic Tool for Shared Decision Making in the Use of Antidepressants Among Patients with MDD, a Focus Group Study." So the article is regarding qualitative study. The specific type of qualitative study is the focus group study. The focus group among psychiatrists and also among the patients. Patient and psychiatrist views were organized into 6 major teams. So the finding from that focus group discussion can be concluded into 6 teams. First, summary of treatment options. The patient needs to have the simplified version of the information provided by the psychiatrist, because if the psychiatrist explain in detail with the jargon, the patient will not have the ability to make the decision making together. Correct ways of taking medication. The information needed by the patients include the correct ways of taking medication, because some of the antidepressant should not be swallowed, but should put under the tongue. And then potential side effect of treatment related patient. Patient want to know potential side effect as well before deciding the medication. But normally, when I conduct the study, I sit in my supervisor's psychiatric clinics, and some other doctors also I observe. Frequently, they did not explain in detail regarding the potential side effects. Maybe they don't want to make the patient feel afraid, because side effect is common in antidepressants. So we have to explain regarding risk-benefit analysis. We need to say, if the patient did not want to take the medication, so the depression will become more severe. So it will lead, if the depression become more severe, will lead to more severe effects, including death. So if to avoid that one, the patient should take the medication, even though some of the side effects should be borne by the patients, including the weight gain and others. And then sharing of case study related to treatment options. You need to say, patients want to know previous experience by the doctor with other patients related to treatment option. The simple word, they want like a testimony from other patients as well. And then cost of treatment options, because patient should pay several type of treatment as well. Not all of them can be subsidized. But I just observed from the UMMC, because UMMC is not full government. So some of the treatment should be paid by the patient. And then input from pharmacists. From the perspective of patients and psychiatrists as well, they recognize the importance of pharmacist perspective when doing the shared decision making. And then third phase, the manuscript has been presented in the international conference on pharmaceutical research and pharmacy practice. Okay, the title is Depressive Disorder Patients and Psychiatrists Perceive Level of Involvement in Clinical Shared Decision Making, a multi-center study. So this is a quantitative study. There are 15 centers, public and private psychiatric outpatient clinics in Malaysia. The participant is the depressed patient and their psychiatrists. So outcome measure using the validated questionnaire SDM-Q9 and also SDM-Q-Doc. So basically, all of the center included is shown in the diagram. So we have from different states. Okay, is assisted by the psychiatrists from that clinic. And then this is the findings from the multi-center study, quantitative part. And then this is the significant variable, ethnicity and employment. So this is the questionnaire SDM level by using SDM-Q9. SDM-Q9 is for patients and SDM-Q-Doc is for the doctor. Is to measure the level of shared decision making between patients and doctors. So among the variable that is significantly different is like this, but I think just to explain in quickly. And then I also use another different analysis, which known as blind element plot of total transport cost of the SDM level. So the blind element plot signify proportional bias between SDM level perceived by patients and psychiatrists, because psychiatrists have the questionnaire of SDM-Q-Doc and patient SDM-Q9. All both questionnaires has similar items, but modify the sentence so that it will be suitable for the psychiatrists and the patients. And then because of the similar items, I can compare using this blind element plot. So the interpretation indicate that the pattern of different SDM level values that increase proportionally with the average patient psychiatrist SDM level values. Fourth phase. So the fourth phase is regarding the clinical expert panel on SDM booklet of scripts for psychiatrists, consensus points and recommendation. The end result of the study is to produce SDM booklet. So we have conducted meeting between the psychiatrists involved in a hotel in Kuala Lumpur, and so we got the feedback. This is the summary of the feedback from patients, including the patient feel that they should always listen to their doctors. Patient has a lack of understanding about antidepressant medications. Patient may believe that all antidepressants will cause addiction, organ failure. Some patients may have false belief regarding the toxic effects of antidepressants. So these are the feedback from patients. So we analyze and discuss among the clinical expert panel from the psychiatrists. And then feedback from psychiatrists regarding the systematic SDM process, desire to have a structured flow of the SDM process. So majority of the psychiatrists also said that they want a structured and systematic SDM process, because before this, they also have conducted the SDM informally, so it's not standardized. So using the research like this, we can make a standardized procedure. And then the secretaries also concern for longer consultation. STM can be time consuming. Just like I mentioned before, some of the secretaries also concerned about consultation time will be more longer if they conducted the systematic approach of that STM process. And then inclusion of illustrations. Patient may understand more clearly if the information is presented using graphical aids. Secretaries also have the feedback to show the in terms of diagram to the patients instead of just oral presentation only. So this is the booklet produced and have been presented by my supervisor to all the others secretaries involved. So my name is the coordinator here, and these are other names of the secretaries in Malaysia from various states. So conclusion regarding the Viva, this is the conclusion from the Viva. What I have produced is the SEM tool, and the process is thoroughly done using several phases, and booklet produced. Patient decision aid is to be planned. So after finishing this study, my supervisor continue to make the research with another PhD student to develop patient decision aid. So patient decision also under PCC, patient care under the SDM, is to assist patient to make decision with the doctors. A part of this, my PhD study, I also have learned another study by doing the research assistant work in another research regarding patient decision aid, but for the diabetes mellitus. That one I've learned that the researcher make patient decision aid using website-based tool. So before patient enter the clinic to meet the doctor, the researcher will give link to the website to answer several questions. So when the patient is waiting outside the clinic, they can fill in the form, and then the form will be sent to the doctor, and the doctor will review the information key in by the patient, and then the doctor will know basic information about the patient, and it will improve the SDM process after the patient enter the clinic. Okay, future plan for my study. I would like to explore more regarding the qualitative research study, because qualitative is very rare to be implemented by a researcher, but it is very important. We have to know the feedback from the participants' perspective to implement other interventional program. So it's just like a supplement or supplement with the quantitative. It's not that qualitative is alone is okay, but it should be supplemented by the quantitative. So because many other researchers are using quantitative, so I will contribute to the loophole or the research gap to be the qualitative part expertise. So I will explore more regarding the study, and then help other researchers as well. And then collaboration projects. Until now, I have several projects collaborated within the IIUM Kuantan and also with other university. And then my plan also want to develop web-based screening tool for mental health, especially because some studies say that a lot of patient is underdiagnosed. Patient did not want to start the help-seeking behavior earlier. So if we can utilize web-based screening tool, there are a lot in overseas. In the overseas, there are specific website for the screening tool for mental health. Patient can enter the variable. It's like a Google form, but it's more advanced than Google form. because after entering, automatically will converted to scores, and then the scores will be interpreted automatically. Mean to say, if the patient have depression, and then patient enter the symptoms asked by the forms, and then calculated automatically, and then the advice will appear in the website. The patient can maybe will be advised to go to the nearest psychiatric clinics. So for your information, in Malaysia, the implementation, if some of the if people feel that they have mental health disease, so they can go straightly to the clinic, either health clinic, government health clinic, or private general practitioner clinic, GP, and then the doctor will screen using several questionnaire. Maybe the most popular one is DASS, Depression Anxiety Scale. So after screening like that, and then clinical judgment, the doctor will write the referral letter to the hospital, tertiary hospital, either government hospital or the other private clinic, private hospital. So if we say about mental disorder, in the clinic, family medical specialist also can prescribe antidepressant, and then GP also can. But if more treatment, they should refer to the psychiatrist inside the hospital. And then my future plan also include social media mental health advocacy, because nowadays trending, psychiatrists as well join the trending to give information regarding the mental health to the public. And then lastly, regarding professional certifications, we plan to get personal certification related. So the detail I show in this screenshot. Qualitative exploration, I already got one master student to continue my study related to perspectives of pharmacists and patients toward patient-centered mental health pharmacy services. It is ongoing project, so it's under the suspect research grant, inshallah. And then I also have prospective PhD students already applied and will start his PhD in this February next year, inshallah. And the title related to mental health as well, but focusing on the HIV positive patients. So regarding RVD, because he is a RVD pharmacist, retroviral disease pharmacist in health clinic in Kuala Lumpur. So among the collaboration projects include within the university with Dr. May, we collaborate with her, and then this is with the UITM under the UMP UITM UIA grant. So my name here with two other lecturers. So this among the projects, not limited to this. I have several other projects collaboration, but I have not mentioned in this slides. And then regarding web-based screening tool, I would like to make like this. This is other article study regarding the patient perspective on mental health specialist video consultations in primary care, qualitative pre-implementation study of anticipated benefits and barriers. So basically the study want to have a pre-implementation study, want to make the basic interview, want to know about the benefits and barriers from the perspective of the mental health specialist. But this is regarding video consultations. Maybe I will adapt and adopt to make a web-based tool. So why web-based screening tool? Because now digital tools is already used widely by the youth mental health, and the youth is the among the people who are exposed to the mental disease nowadays. So this is the Dr. Hazli Zakaria. Hazli Zakaria is the psychiatrist in UKM before this, SUKM. So he's using TikTok to educate the public or mental health advocacy, to give information regarding mental health. And another healthcare provider, mental health nurse, this one, Ihsan. He got many followers and likes. So because people want the information like this nowadays, so I would like to make also like this. I have provided information like this. I want to educate, but it's more related to the pharmacists. Maybe like the medication use among the mental health patients. And then regarding professional certifications, I already got the Facebook Certified Digital Marketing Associate. Also the collaboration between Meta is the new name for Facebook, with the MDEC, Malaysian Digital what I did not remember, but MDEC is the government body. So to get the certification, have to sit for exam, and then so we'll get the certification. So lastly, my long-term planning is to get professional certification from the BPS, Board of Pharmacies specialty, because it has one of the specific specialty is psychiatric pharmacist, BCPP program, but this is long term. Okay, that's all. I think this one is the interactive session, but I think cannot do lah because medical technical error, I think. So I open for questions and answer.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Syahrir. Very interesting presentations. Okay, maybe any questions from Prof, Prof and Doctor? Any questions? So we have 10 minutes for QA session. Seems that everyone already hungry, yeah? No questions.
I can say one.
Okay. Dr. Naim.
Yes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Dr. Syahrir. Very interesting slides and very interesting work, of course, you have done during the PhD. Dr. Syahrir, just maybe one simple question, asking for your recommendation. Actually, not a question. The difference between the mental health and mental well-being. This the first one. The next one, when it comes to assess mental health among patients with long-standing chronic diseases, what's your recommendation regarding the use tools, the assessment tools to be used in patients with long history of chronic disease?
Okay, thank you very much for the good question. So I would like to share again the related answer from the slides. So first question regarding difference between mental health and mental well-being. Am I right, Dr. Muhammad Al-Naim? I think it's correct, the first question.
Yes.
So when we see the definition from WHO World Health Organization from here, mental health is defined as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential. So we can say that well-being also is the one part of the mental health, because it is the component of the definition by WHO. And again, the definition is like a disagreement between researchers. Some others
Yes,
agency. Okay. So I think answering the first question, the second question regarding the tools to be used for long-term chronic disease patient, right?
Yes, exactly. The recommended tools throughout your research, the recommended one that you encountered, maybe most widely used, for example, or something like this. For mental health in general. And
so tools, or we can say skills. Certificates always say skills. So in research, this is just like an ideal condition. Ideal condition, they are using these skills. But in practical, in real situation, Even though they want to diagnose the patient with the MDD, they will not use PHQ-9. It's more towards the clinical judgment. So I can say that the scale is just for research purposes. So if we want to make research using secondary data, it's very difficult in terms of this psychiatric aspect, mental health disease, because from the patient record we cannot find the scale like this. And okay, hope that is answering. Okay, thank you very much for the question.
Thank you so much.
Okay, maybe more questions. Maybe I can ask one question, Dr. Syahrir.
Okay.
Regarding for the mental health, maybe is there any correlation between Islamic teaching practice for the mental health? Maybe this is also part of the one of the strategy, yeah, to treat the depression or anxiety.
Okay, thank you very much for the good question. So this is one of the burning question from other people as well. Some of the people said we should not relate Islamic with the depression. But my personal opinion regarding that statement is because we are exposed to the secularism for all part of our life. People will separate the worldly life and religion. So to answer regarding the questions, under the treatment plan for MDD or other mental disorder, we also have the psychoeducation. Psychoeducation means to say if mild depression, no need to give antidepressant yet, no need to give medication, but we be treated by clinical psychologists using psychoeducation, and among other aspect also they will use spiritual therapy. So because most of the therapy management from Western, so they just said spiritual therapy. But because we know that Islam is comprehensive, shumul, is include all aspect of life. So Islamic teaching should not be separated from the treatment of depression or other mental disorder. So Islamic teaching have part in the treatment of mental disorder. There are a lot of studies as well in the journal article regarding using some of the study related to zikir in other aspect of Islamic teaching.
Okay.
Hopefully,
yeah.
okay, that's answering your question.
Yes. Very nice. Okay. Maybe more questions. No questions. So very inspiring. Yeah.
Okay.
Inspiring. Okay.
I heard. The Prof Kamar want to ask question.
Prof Kamar. Okay. Prof Kamar.
Yeah, brother. Thank you very much. Yeah. Very good presentation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much, Dr. Syahrir. Keep it up.
Dr. Syahrir has a lot of publication from this study, so
yeah,
we are very inspired.
I am highly impressed by your presentation and your hard work. Keep it up. Inshallah. Thank you very much, brother.
Inshallah. Thank you very much as well.
Dr. Syahrir and Dr. Rusdi.
Okay, maybe just quick comment regarding the publication, because I did my PhD in UM. Is the requirement to have those publication. But I also inspired by my supervisor. My supervisor used publication as the thesis format. He has nine publications during his PhD, I think. What I want to say is UM standard is far different with us.
Yes, true. So Professor Hanigi is giving you advice to improve further.
Inshallah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So if no more questions, so by this is we will end our KOP session today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Alfi, for
Yeah, you're
successfully
welcome.
organizing this presentation.
Alhamdulillah.
Very
So-
helpful to everyone.
So
Alhamdulillah.
hopefully it can inspire us to do our research, and the aim is to share and then we will learn each other. Okay, we will have a KOP Tarik session number 3 in February. So I see you there in the February. Yeah.
Inshallah. Where is
So
Dr. Alfi? Where is Tarik?
Tarik now is again offline. Next time, next time if we are really in online offline, then we will have our real Tarik. No worries.
Inshallah, inshallah. Thank you very much, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, so we end the session by a session of Tasbih Kafarah and Surah Al-Asr.
Bismillah. Astaghfirullah. Wal asr innal insana. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. So wait, I need to make a picture for reporting. So please turn on your camera. So I'll make a picture. Turn on the camera. So I will count by 3. Yeah. Make smile. Yeah. Are you ready? So 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for your attending this Tarik sharing session, and see you in February. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Inshallah. Thank you, Dr. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.